Casemiro will leave Manchester United at the end of the season. That confirmation landed like a quiet but heavy blow. The end of a short, turbulent era at Old Trafford, where old values are gradually being replaced by a new, far more demanding order. United's decision to officially announce the Brazilian midfielder's departure this summer, despite his contract still having another year to run, came as a surprise to many fans. But look a little deeper, and it becomes clear this is not just a footballing decision. It is a calculated, strategic move by the club's new leadership. So why are United willing to say goodbye to Casemiro earlier than expected? And what message lies behind that choice? Casemiro is not leaving Old Trafford because he suddenly became a liability on the pitch, or because his footballing value disappeared, as some feared. The truth runs deeper. Manchester United simply no longer have the financial room or the long-term vision to keep a deal that is both extremely expensive and out of sync with a rebuilding process now fully underway. When you look back at Casemiro's time in red, the key question isn't whether he played well or poorly in individual matches. It's whether United still need a Casemiro at such a massive cost. And right now, the answer is quite clear. No, even if his contributions and influence at the club remain worthy of respect. The decision has been made firmly and without hesitation. United have no plans to extend the contract or activate any clauses that would keep the 33-year-old beyond this season. As speculation around his future continued to grow, it was Casemiro himself who asked the club to go public with the plan, in the interest of transparency with the media and the fans. That detail speaks volumes. It reflects mutual respect on both sides and the professionalism of a player who understands what the final chapters of an elite career often look like. To understand why United chose to make the announcement 5 months early, we need to go back to the summer of 2022, when Casemiro first arrived at Old Trafford. At that moment, Manchester United were in complete chaos, both on the pitch and behind the scenes. The midfield lacked a true defensive anchor. The pursuit of Frenkie de Jong collapsed at the last moment. The transfer window was closing fast, and Casemiro emerged as a fully proven solution. A 5-time Champions League winner, a leader in the dressing room, and a player with the mentality of a serial champion. It was a strategic firefighting move, not a long-term blueprint for the future. And that kind of emergency solution came at a heavy price. United paid around £70 million for a player already past 30. Casemiro's wages placed him among the highest earners in European football, with the total cost expected to exceed £140 million over 4 seasons, with no resale value at all. In any modern football business model, those numbers would make every financial department pause and scrutinize every detail. Yet if you strip Casemiro away from the cold figures, he was never a purely footballing mistake. His first season at United made that clear. He brought something the club had been missing for years: order, discipline, and steel in midfield. Casemiro didn't need to run the most or play the flashiest passes. He always knew where to be and made the right decisions when it mattered most. He became the glue holding together a team that was still full of loose pieces. The most iconic moment of his United career came in the 2023 Carabao Cup final. His opening header against Newcastle, followed by an all-action performance, helped United lift their first trophy in years. At that time, there was almost no doubt about his value. Old Trafford finally had a proper holding midfielder again, a presence that reminded many of the days when Michael Carrick ruled the center of the pitch. But elite football always follows one ruthless law: time. By his second season, the signs of age began to show. The pace of the Premier League grew more ruthless. The spaces behind Casemiro became easier to expose. Injuries came more frequently, and the total trust he once enjoyed from the coaching staff slowly faded. He didn't collapse, but he was no longer the untouchable anchor he had been. Changes on the touchline couldn't reverse that reality either. Under Ruben Amorim, Casemiro at times slipped down the pecking order, even falling behind younger players. Yet this is where his professionalism stood out. He never gave up. He kept training seriously, kept fighting to win his place back, and whenever he was on the pitch, United often looked more stable. His experience still mattered in a squad that lacked composure and big-game maturity. Still, modern football is no longer driven by footballing logic alone. It is shaped just as much by finances and long-term planning. When INEOS stepped into Old Trafford as co-owners, they didn't view Casemiro through an emotional lens. They looked at the wage bill, age profile, development cycle, and return on investment for every position. A midfielder approaching 34, on one of the highest salaries in the squad, simply doesn't fit into a multi-year rebuild. Casemiro's contract includes an automatic one-year extension if he starts a certain number of matches, a clause that made his future a sensitive topic in recent months. By announcing the separation early, United avoid unnecessary speculation and give Casemiro and his team time to plan the next step of his career. It also allows the club to manage financial risk in a clear and transparent way. This decision does not mean Casemiro no longer has value. The proof came in United's derby win over Manchester City in mid-January, where he delivered an impressive performance, playing with pride and authority, reminding everyone that he still has the quality to shine on the biggest stage. But one strong performance cannot reshape a financial structure built over years. Saying goodbye to Casemiro is part of a broader squad overhaul at Manchester United. Freeing up a massive wage opens space to rebuild the midfield, an area identified as a top priority for this summer. Younger, more energetic players who can grow with the project are now the target, and that direction fits perfectly with the new strategy INEOS are determined to follow. In his emotional interview, Casemiro made it clear that Manchester United will stay with him for the rest of his life. For him, Old Trafford is a place filled with special memories, from the passion of the stands to the love of the fans. He also stressed that now is not the moment to say goodbye, with important targets still ahead in the final months of wearing the red shirt. When you place Casemiro in the bigger picture, he represents the legacy of a period of uncontrolled spending. He was never a player who lacked quality. He simply no longer fits the club's new direction. United need to cut wages, refresh the squad, and invest in players who can grow with the team for 5 to 7 years, rather than continuing to carry an aging, expensive structure. Comparing Casemiro to failed Brazilian signings of the past would be unfair. He delivered silverware, was a key figure, and left his mark in decisive moments. The issue was never his level, but the timing and the value of the contract. When Casemiro leaves at the end of June, it will be a calm and respectful departure, without drama, without conflict. He stands as a symbol of a phase in which United tried to shorten the road back to the top through short-term investments. Now, the club has accepted that the most sustainable path forward must be built on younger, smarter, and more efficient foundations. Announcing the decision early also clears the way for United to pursue promising new targets, such as Elliot Anderson of Nottingham Forest, Carlos Baleba of Brighton, and Adam Wharton of Crystal Palace, all high on the club's midfield shortlist. As for Casemiro, the future remains wide open. Options in Major League Soccer or lucrative offers from Saudi Arabia are on the table, alongside his ambition to feature at the next World Cup with Brazil. In the end, this farewell reflects a new level of maturity in how Manchester United are being run, facing reality and resolving long-standing issues in the most respectful way possible. Casemiro is not a failure. He is the cost of a period when the club lost its rhythm, and yet he fulfilled a crucial historical mission, stabilizing the team during one of its darkest moments. United move on to begin a new, hopeful journey. Casemiro moves on in search of the final challenges of a great career, and both sides can smile, knowing they gave each other effort, respect, and honesty until the end.